So the Three Musketeers back in action. Here we are, the three of us. I just had word, unfortunately, from Brian's PR team, aka himself. He is unfortunately going to be possibly shaving that beard off soon, which is brutal to hear. I know it's very hot down there, Brian, and I get it. I understand. Your membership into this club will still be active. Do not worry. I don't want you to think that it won't be. I think I mentioned last time about how I ran the club at Scranton, the Bearded Men of Scranton Society. If you were a member of that, you would still be in it if you shaved. I understand that things come up. It's just it's going to be very sad to see that go.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's the humidity here that you battle. So it's kind of even though it's not raining, it's still raining somewhat. So that's kind of what you have to go up against. And I mean, right now it's 85, but it feels hotter out there actually. So, but up to this date, it's been relatively cool. So I'm not complaining.
Yeah, I was just telling him too. For all the viewers at home, it's also very cold-ish. It's getting warmer, obviously everywhere, but it's still nice and cool up by me. It's like only 60 degrees, so it's not too warm yet, and there's not really a whole lot of humidity up here. But I know I could never live in the southern state in the summertime because I would just not have a good time.
So I know last time we talked a little bit about getting tattoos, right? I think we were going to do some sort of tattoo on our necks, right? Here's an idea. And I don't know if we explored this option last time or not. So apologies for the redundancy if we did already. But we could just get beard tattoos. So when Brian shaves off his real beard, he has a beard under his beard, and that way we're always representing beard bros for life, right? And that's that. Then you can go beardless, be nice and cool in the summer, and then nice and warm, grow out a natural beard in the winter, and you're double covered.
The dedication would be unmatched for any club, I think, ever. To get a full facial tattoo of the beard, mustache, and all, probably. I will say that to do that, you have to shave and then grow the beard back in over the tattoo still.
Yeah. But think of that, though, like, how great would that be? Because, like, guys that might not have very full beards, if you get the tattoo, it will fill in those spots. So, I mean, it's dumb not to do this. I think I'm all in. Let's do it. Next time we do the podcast, we should actually do it at a tattoo parlor. And we just do it.
There you go. Yes, live. We could record it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do it live from the tattoo shop that we're all getting permanent beard tattoos on us. I like the idea, I think you had last time, Eric, of the, not that that's not a great idea, but the one where it's just like an arrow pointing to the beard on like the base of the neck or something. Like, I don't know, something like that would be funny.
I just want to get tattoos with you guys. Really, I don't care. Let's just do it.
I just think that
beard
would be
bros,
good.
Whatever. I don't care.
Something.
Yeah, something. I don't have tattoos, so I don't know. I don't know what it takes to actually have a tattoo. I'm a big tattoo. Let's get tattoo talker. But I have like, I don't believe in anything strong enough to even, I don't even have a bumper sticker. I think I gotta have a bumper sticker before you go to tattoo, right?
You get a tattoo.
Yeah.
You're all talk, no ink.
Yeah. I mean,
is it?
There was like a bumper sticker that I got way back when I was a kid, right? I joined the Star Wars fan club, and they sent me a bumper sticker, and it said like, I'm a Star Wars fan club member, honk if you are too. And they didn't say R2, they showed a picture of R2D2. And at the time,
clever,
absolutely incredible. I can't remember if I was like 12 or 13 or whatever, but I was dying. I was like, I need to be 16 as fast as I can to get this bumper sticker out my car. And then I finally turned 16. I go and reach for the bumper sticker, and I couldn't do it. I'm just not that guy. I'm just not a bumper sticker guy. I don't
I couldn't do it.
I don't, at the time I was a big Star Wars fan, but even then, the power of the force was not enough to put a sticker on my car to announce to the world. So I don't know.
Your commitment is scary. It's like, let's go tattoos, and I can't commit to a bumper sticker. So
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be the guy that's like, let's go get tattoos, and then you guys are like, okay, and then I'm like, are you guys sure we should be getting tattoos? I don't know. And then you guys are like, yeah, we'll get it to the line at the, because in my head it's like around the corner, like a big old line of people getting tattoos, and then I'd be like, no, I better not, you guys, then kick a rock. And then just kind of go to the restaurant across
Walk
the
off.
street. Yeah,
Or we don't get yours. Is that how it goes? We get our full beard tattoos, and you're like, guys, I don't know about this.
Yeah. No,
like, I'll go last.
I would, I would feel way too guilty. I would wuss out before you guys got the work done. I wouldn't let you guys go alone. I would wuss out far before that happens. So. Just so you guys
I respect
know.
it.
Yeah.
I respect the not pushing us off the cliff and that kind of thing.
No,
so that's good.
That's a uncool move. You know what I mean? So,
it's not a bro move.
Yeah, that's right.
But speaking of bro moves, Amazon has not been doing a lot of good bro moves lately, especially for some of these fees that they have been introducing in the past couple of months. Some of them are good, actually. Some of them are kind of bro moves. This is a great segue into our topic today, talking about these new inventory and just other related fees on Amazon. We're taking a look at just what they've been doing, what they've been increasing, what they've been decreasing, kind of breaking down how it affects you as a seller. Hey everybody, what's up? I am Velocity Peach, your host. We're here today with Eric Peterson, our Director of Brand Management, and Brian Duffy, one of our logistics specialists here at Velocity Sellers. We are otherwise known as the Three Musketeers. If you've seen our last inventory episode, it's usually the three of us talking about, again, how you can better manage your logistics, more cost-effective solutions to your logistics, and all that kind of good stuff. And I have donned us the Three Musketeers in a very funny, on-the-spot, whimsical, theatrical name. So we're here today, again, to talk about these new fees. I've said fees probably 20 times now. We're here to talk about new fees that Amazon is introducing to the marketplace and has already kind of introduced, and how we can kind of, again, take a look at them and just see what are some, not necessarily loopholes, but what are some of the best ways to stay afloat and stay profitable with these new fees rolling out. So Eric and Brian, honestly, Brian, if you want to start with the logistics ones, if you can give us a quick update on just what exactly is what has come out, what is Amazon raising, what is Amazon decreasing, and kind of, again, just a little bit about what these fees are.
So Amazon is initiating a placement fee, and this has started in March is when they kind of started to say, hey, this is going to happen, and it's been rolling out. And overall, what they're trying to do is they're trying to place the product as close to the customer as possible, and generously they're allowing you to share in on that cost. So they say, hey, if you want to send it into one place, we're going to charge you a placement fee so we can spread it across our vast Amazon fulfillment network. We can you could do a partial fee and send some to different fulfillment centers, but we're still going to have to send the other ones out. So we're going to charge you a partial fee. Or you could do the no fee, and you're looking at about 4 to 10 fulfillment centers I've seen. And then they'll spread it across their network, but you will not have to pay the placement fee, but instead you're, of course, paying for the carrier cost to get it to those different locations. And so the other fee they're initiating now is the low stock fee. Basically, it's looking at your days of inventory, your days of coverage, and if it's below 28 days, it's going to charge you a fee for that. It's looking at not only just the short term being your 30 days, but also your 90 terms. If either of those are below 28 days, you get charged a fee based on the classification of it. Is it small, large, extra large, and then the weight. And then it kind of looks at it depending on, is it less than 2 weeks? Is it less than 3 weeks? And then it charges you a fee according to how old or how low your inventory is as far as your days of coverage is too. And so I guess on the plus, they are lowering your fulfillment fee depending on, of course, if it's standard or large. There's a sliding scale on that. and then they also are decreasing the overall storage cost at about 9 cents per cubic foot. So positives on those. We'll end on two positives versus the two negatives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so not the worst. Like I said, not the worst increase in the world. It's like you said, it's very generous of them to let us share in on the cost of moving around some of the products to their different fulfillment centers. Super nice. But at the same time, they are low. They are, again, doing some nice bro moves for us. So it's not, again, the worst thing in the world.
And they'll say it's a positive. I mean, you want your product close to your customers so that they can experience faster shipping speed before they've handled that cost. So you would ship it to one place and they would send it across their network. So they're kind of sharing in the expense of that. Plus low stock. I mean, who wants to be low stock? But now it's kind of holding certain sellers accountable who, may keep just a small amount to cover things. And instead it's, forcing them to be more intelligent about what they're going to send FBA, coming with these low stock fees. And so they're kind of spinning it somewhat to say that it benefits you as a seller, but in essence, it's a.
So I can jump in a little bit on this. So think of like if we just kind of talk about your placement service fee, right? So in the past, when you would send something to Amazon, your inventory your listing would go live, but it still might be like getting received, or it might be in what they call an FC transfer, which is a fulfillment center transfer, which Brian was kind of discussing. So like what they're trying to do is, instead of shipping just to one warehouse and then Amazon does the FC transfer to these other ones, they're trying to speed that process up a little bit by having the seller actually send it to those fulfillment centers. I assume that they're going to still do FC transfers as they need, or as needed, so it's not going to like completely cut that out. But what I want all of you out there to kind of consider is, if you are selling FBM, what is your conversion rate currently? What does your shipping look like? If you have like a 5-day, like if you have 2-day handling time, and then you have, then it takes, if you're in the East Coast, let's say you're in Maine, somebody in California orders that, and that shipment's going to take 3 days to get there. That's a 5-day turnaround. So if you go in and with that 5-day window, if you're on a Wednesday, that's not getting to them probably till next Monday or something like that. It depends on when that weekend lines up, and depends on when your own warehouse will ship that product. So with that in mind, you're going to probably most likely have a better conversion rate when you go to FBA. Now, when you're doing that transition, you're going to be scared. Everybody's like, I don't want to get overcharged. I don't want to do this. So I'm only going to sell 4 units. That is kind of what they're trying to get rid of, because if you send 4 units of your product and you sell, I don't know, whatever, X amount, whatever, and your 4 units are only going to go to like, let's say they go to New York fulfillment center, and then from there they do an FC transfer, 2 units go to Florida. That California person is not going to get the Amazon FBA Prime shipping 2 days, right? So you have to be a little bit aggressive. Not too aggressive, but that's kind of what they're trying to figure out. So if you send smaller quantities, you're going to get charged more. And Brian, jump in here if I'm misspeaking here. So if you only send a small quantity and you can only go to one FC, they're going to charge you more. If you send more quantity, you're going to get a cheaper placement fee because you'll be able to spread that out across the United States. But you also have to be smart about it. If you only sell 30 units within 6 weeks, don't send a case or a pallet of 1,200 units, because now you're looking at the opposite side. So there, of long-term storage fees. So there is going to be a little bit of a balance, but as a seller, you need to kind of just look at what's happening, look at your conversion rate, look at the shipping rate, your shipping time, because if you're sending your customer to a listing that has a 7-day shipping time, they're going somewhere else. So you should try to get to that FBA point. So maybe your first couple might be lower quantities just to kind of feel that out, and then increase those quantities over time, and then find that sweet spot. And you're going to start seeing a lot more success just based on geolocation, which Brian kind of mentioned earlier.
And as far as, who we're seeing these hit with these placement fees the worst, it's those who send mixed SKUs in a carton. Now, most people send a SKU per carton. That's the way Amazon wants you to send it. And Amazon can easily split that. So if I've got one SKU per carton, I've got multiple cartons coming, they can say this carton goes East Coast, this goes West Coast, this goes Central. You're minimizing your placement fees. Now we have some clients who have smaller products and they will put multiple SKUs in one carton because it saves them in shipping. If they're doing little pieces of jewelry, if they're doing some, a smaller type of piece, then you put multiple of those in a box and you will save significantly on your carrier cost. And most of them ship UPS, so they can have hundreds, if not 1,000 units in a few boxes, and that's always saved them money as far as sending it in. Now they get hit the hardest with these placement fees because there's not a way to split out their mixed SKUs into different fulfillment centers. So they're pretty much doomed to always pay the full fee, being one fulfillment center is where they're sending it to, and then they have to pay for Amazon to split it up. But in the end, we found that most of them, they don't want to move to a full carton per SKU because it's going to be a little box. Even though it's got 50 SKUs in it, it's just still not profitable for them to do it that way. So they're just basically suffering through the placement fees. And that's what it comes down to is their profitability. They look at it, we crunch the numbers with them and they go, hey, per unit, this is still good for us to do. So we want to continue with the way we're doing it, send mixed SKUs. We know we're going to have to pay this placement fee that's 20% more as far as our send in cost were, but they kind of understand that it's that cost of doing business with Amazon, and they've determined that, hey, this still is our best option for their warehouse team to pack, for carrier cost, and that otherwise, because let's say they want to send multiple ones, so now they're sending a bunch of small boxes to the different fulfillment centers. So now instead of paying a placement fee, they're paying even more for a carrier, and they've just determined, we don't want to do that. So we'll just go ahead and bite the bullet and pay the fee.
Hey, Brian, have you noticed anything? Like if a client or a seller has the warehouse capacity to do seller fulfilled Prime, could that be an alternative option instead of talking about having the Prime badge and all that stuff? And typically, I'm usually against seller fulfilled Prime because it's just a lot. It's really hard on a warehouse if you're not like a big, huge warehouse. But is seller fulfilled Prime a possible way to lower some of these fees?
I don't know anyone who does that well, to be honest. And so I think overall it's become, they're doing FBA, and I know there are some that do FBM, but they still have the kind of the handling time because of cutoffs of across different things, and it's hard for them to hit that Prime badge status. I honestly don't know anyone who's doing it really well in that way that it makes sense. And if they're doing it really well, then they're probably doing FBA anyway because they're selling high volumes regardless. So things like the placement fees are impactful, but per unit it's not as much impactful because now we could send several pallets into one fulfillment center. Now they're just sending a few pallets to 4, 5, 6 different fulfillment centers. And so there's a cost, but overall per unit it's not a significant impact to them.
Yeah. Okay. Because I'm seeing if you do send to 4 or more locations, no fee at all. 2 or 3, that's a smaller fee, and then single location is the largest fee.
Right, and they're calling it the no fee, and then partial, and then minimal, and sometimes that's of course just the one, and so or 1 to 2 I believe, and so then and that's how the fee is done, and then of course you're paying partial of the fee. And to be honest, that's why you want someone who's looking at the different scenarios, because I have seen it before where you're doing partial, and when you do a partial option, they give you a regional option. If I select partial, then I can go East Coast, West Coast, Central. Depending on where their warehouse is, it's going to save them money in the carrier cost to send it one of those regions, and then they make up the cost in placement fees. And sometimes it'll be, a higher placement fee, but it's a less carrier fee, or it's a higher carrier fee, but a less placement fee. And so you start to weigh those out, and sometimes, not often, but sometimes enough that you check it, you go to the no fee option and it costs you more than the partial fee option. And so it's just advantageous to go ahead and look at the different scenarios. And I have to write them down so that I remember, because I'm like, wait, what was that other fee? But I always do that for our clients because I want to save them money as often as I can. And my wife complains, she doesn't complain, but I'm a frugal guy. I'll just be honest. Like, I'm not below thrift shopping for a shirt. And so I think if I can save my clients money, that's what I want to do. And so I always opt to go that direction and check the different scenarios and see what's best, and always choose the cheaper options. Because, yeah, it may be more of a placement fee, but it saves you money in carriers. So in the end, it's a net, profitable way to save money is choose the less total cost.
Yeah. So it's not just as simple as saying, okay, like Eric kind of mentioned, like if you send a 4, there's a minimal fee. If you send a 3, it's not just as simple as saying, okay, let's just send our product to every single fulfillment center in the country. That way Amazon almost pays us at that point. You also got to, like you said, factor in the shipping from your carriers like that. So a lot more goes into it than just how many fulfillment centers you're shipping to. It's basically also the shipping of the products there, and all that prices to factor in there as well. So very, very
difficult too with the oversized and standard size. Mm-hmm. It's got a lot of different scenarios that it runs, but yeah, no fee doesn't always save you in the end, and it's kind of just looking at it from that perspective. And like the people that are shipping mixed SKUs, in the end, they're like, actually, it doesn't save us money to split this out and pay the extra cost and all that. And
Is that a lot what we're seeing? Sorry, Eric. I want to ask. I have 2 things for Brian, 2 very important things, and then I want to get to Eric, your question. Are we seeing a lot of our partners sending to multiple fulfillment centers, or are they still sending to one, just eating the fees because it would be cheaper? Like, what's kind of like the split that we're seeing on our end for our people?
And it depends on their throughput and their sales volume. Is that most of the high volume are doing the no placement fees, multiple fulfillment centers. And the way Amazon does their workflow too is you can send some small partial delivery through UPS or some by the pallet. So it may split it across a fulfillment center that's 2, 3, 4 cartons. To send a pallet is, ridiculously expensive, but to send that UPS isn't as much. And so in the end, I think it depends on how much sales they have, and that those that are high volume are doing the no fee multiple fulfillment centers. Those that are kind of medium are doing the partial and just kind of having to pay that fee. And sometimes there's not even enough to send in for it to split across for you to have no fee. It just gives you the partial shipment, or just the minimal being the one fulfillment center. And so it kind of just, it's nice with the workflow that you can run through the scenarios to see what's beneficial, but it's all about that, how much sales you have and how much you're sending in. And so some of my clients, we move to every other week because it's better for them to do bigger orders, less often, instead of what we used to do with the weekly. Mm-hmm. And so now they're sending in a bigger order, putting it across different fulfillment centers, paying less of a placement fee, but having to pull those orders every other week type of thing.
Yeah, I was going to ask you a little bit. My second question was unrelated a little bit, because I want to talk about your thrifting. But before I get to that, and I'm sorry, Eric, I have one more question. You mentioned just now, obviously, about switching up, doing, instead of weekly, you go to bi-weekly. Are you doing anything else differently now that these fees are active for our clients? Like, what other kind of strategies, without selling our book of secrets, kind of what, is there anything else differently that you're seeing that could maybe help people now that these fees are a thing?
And as far as placement fee, it's just kind of the cadence of the orders, because if they're going to do bigger orders to reduce those costs, and their warehouse is able to do it, because some, if their volumes are high, you can't do every other week, because then they're kind of beyond their capacity. But really, that one has to do with the low stock fee, is that we want to be strategic with their orders so that we're not just looking at short term, but also looking at long term and avoiding those and looking at them, because that fee is based upon the parent SKU. It's not just or parent ASIN, not just the individual ASINs, which some are strategically have several ASINs rolled up under a parent ASIN, but it's just looking at the parent ASIN's 30 and then kind of making sure that's at that 28 days, and then looking further at their 90 days to then determine short term, long term. Are either of those below 28 days, then you're good, or above, then you're good. If below, then you get a fee. And so those are just making sure that that strategy is that those parent ASINs that we're tracking, those raising red flags, making sure that they're in stock. And overall, it's about that managing the FBA FBM strategy. Is that if you have low sellers, where some it's 2 or 3 units, could be 90 days worth of inventory, so you sell 1 or 2, and all of a sudden, you're getting in that area, and maybe they're stock or something like that, and all of a sudden your fees of what you're paying is not meeting your fees of what you're pulling in. So it's just kind of, I would say, definitely more on the low stock fee. It's that inventory levels and those types of things that we have to get a better grasp on.
Yeah, and I want to go into the low stock, but I know, Eric, now's your time to shine. What did you? Sorry, I cut you off there.
I have no idea. It was the best question in the history of questions, and I can't remember. But you brought up an interesting point there, Brian. So we have the placement fee, and then we have the low inventory fee. If you work through the placement fee to get that down, that should fix the low inventory fee, correct? Like if I have enough units going to 4 locations, then I should be stocked up enough not to get the low inventory fee. In theory, there's a lot of moving parts to that. I understand that, but like, unless you like have the hottest item on Amazon, I suppose, but then you'll be sending so much to it anyway. No, I think that would probably correlate. I think that actually would most likely fix, or do you think that that's yes or no, or very nuanced?
I mean, it could. I mean, of course, if you're handling things well anyway, then you're not paying fees, but those are kind of just 2 different pieces that we look at, because it's really, of course, looking at the numbers, looking at your forecasting and understanding your current sales, and then, what the quantity of replenishment is to meet those levels. Because, you're still balancing the excess inventory fee, long-term storage fee that's waiting for you if you over forecast, and now they've got one if you under forecast, and all of that. And it's just making sure that, and I get what Amazon's doing. They're not Amazon warehouse, they're Amazon fulfillment, and that they want to not be a warehouse that you're paying per cubic foot for storage, because it's not profitable for them. They want to make those referral fees and fulfillment fees and all their other fees based on sales, and just push inventory into their fulfillment centers just to turn around and push it right back out. And so, I mean, in theory, yes, if you are, leveraging your replenishment orders and reducing your placement fee, then you will meet the low stock fees for sure. But that's easier said than done. But I mean, that's my goal every day. Wake up in the morning and reduce low stock and placement fees.
Finding that Goldilocks sweet spot of not sending in too much, but not sending in too little either, is definitely a challenge, I can imagine. A fun one, hopefully, but definitely the challenge nonetheless. I'm always looking for ways to sneak in those fancy words like nonetheless. Isn't that crazy? That's one word. It's really just the words nonetheless put together. Craziness. But I wanted to also get into that low inventory fee, kind of what, I know we talked about it a little bit, but also same thing, like what are we doing now? Like how are we measuring that with our partners? How is the fee measured in general? Like how does Amazon determine that? And also just, again, what are we doing to combat that, make sure we don't have our partners charge that fee? I know we talked a little bit about that with our episode with Elizabeth Green and our director of advertising, Chris. And they were kind of saying one of the tips they had mentioned, I don't know, Brian, if you had a chance to watch the episode or if you heard this, but one of the things they said that if you are low in stock and you know you're not going to be able to get enough into an FBA warehouse in time to avoid the fee, you actually just advertise heavier on the product to get rid of all the units altogether. That way you're not charged for it as much, and you kind of just go out of stock. Obviously, going out of stock is not good. I'm not saying to do this, but they had kind of talked about, they floated that idea around. I don't know what you think about that. I'd love to hear your thoughts on all of those things.
Yeah, that sounds like an advertising team strategy, which I can tip my hat to. That's a good strategy. For me, I would look at it, and that's the beauty of our team and being in sync, and we have tools in place for us to all be on the same page, is that as we as the inventory team have notifications that go to our advertising team that says, oh, this one's at potential low stock fee, dial back the advertisements so that, they're not spending money advertising just to spend money in low stock fees. So we're definitely open communications with them and providing tools for them to know where we stand, because, we want to definitely be on the same page, because I don't want to ever sell out or pay low stock fees, but that's definitely a strategy. And I think it's a good, valid one to reduce cost for sure. We'll be on the same page on that. But in this low stock fee, we're just looking at days of coverage. So we're looking at average daily inventory, average units shipped, how much we have in stock, how much we ship. And then, from there you can go, okay, we've got X amount of days of inventory. And I said before, this is done at the parent SKU level, which is good because we have some apparel that's got multiple sizes in a parent SKU. You want to do that, multiple colors, so that everything across the board is looking the same, and making sure that days. And two, I suppose if you have third-party sellers, it's just looking specifically at you. If you have other sellers of your SKUs or ASINs, then you don't want to be compared to their sales versus what you're doing. And so it's just looking specifically at yours, and then before it's running it twice. It's looking at 30 days, it's looking at 90 days, and if either of those are below, then that's when you get the fee. And there are exceptions to this one. So if it is a non-standard size product, then you are not on the hook for low stock fees. So all the larger ones, because these are more difficult to keep in stock, paying shipping and all of that. If you're new to FBA and with your account, then, or even if it's just a new parent SKU, you kind of get to bypass this, and so you can avoid that. And then there's of course things like Amazon warehouse and distribution. If you're using them, you can avoid the low stock fee and you can avoid the placement fee. So I'm not sure that Amazon's not promoting their own warehousing and distribution network. So, but those are your two options. You could use that to avoid it, but then of course there's a cost for that too. Like there's a cost for everything. So instead of using your own 3PL, you use Amazon as your 3PL, then you can avoid that cost too.
And if you are hitting that low inventory fee, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. Like you're not just in the fee trouble, you're in everything trouble. Like if you decide that you're going to do some sort of promotion or some sort of push, so talking back to like advertising, if you're trying to like build your brand, get that market share, start taking that spot, get that BSR to the number one spot, just trying to get that position, try to make a name for yourself, and then you stock out, all of that goes away. It's all now you're falling to the bottom, your competitor is going to the top. So you don't ever want to be in this position. Sure, if you have like onesies and twosies and stuff and you're kind of just dabbling, but if you're really going in and trying to make your brand well known and getting, doing the thing, this means more problems than less. You don't need to worry. Like if you're concerned about the low inventory fee of like whatever it is, like the 20 cents or whatever, like you have bigger problems, especially like around this time of the year. We should be mentioning, Prime Day is coming around the corner. It's historically in July. If you're running into some of these issues, you're in trouble for Prime Day. You need to get your inventory in by June 20th. That's the cutoff. Do not ship June 20th. You will miss it. Your product needs to arrive on June 20th. And here's the deal. June 20th is the mark, but everybody, like you, is trying to hit that mark. So those FBA centers are going to start getting congested really fast or really soon. So keep that in mind. But anyway, what you like, I cannot stress enough, keep your products in stock. You know, even if you have like an FBM listing, you could have an FBM, you could have that on, you know, have an FBA listing, an FBM listing. That can kind of help protect your ASIN from taking that huge dive. So if you do have some stuff in the warehouse and maybe you missed the shipment, or your warehouse person or your expert or whatever was sick that day, or you're on vacation and you just kind of missed that, and you're going to end up having maybe a week worth of inventory that's not going to, you know, or out of stock, make an FBM SKU quick, you know, add some stuff. That way you're going to get the orders yourself in your warehouse. You can ship it in. But again, like if you're suddenly getting low inventory level fee, there's something fundamentally wrong with the process that you're doing. So like if you're a manager or a CEO or something, and you start seeing these inventory level, like the low inventory level fees, something fundamentally is broken in maybe your supply chain, maybe your processes. There's something wrong. And so that's worth that investigation to kind of protect yourself and your brand position on Amazon.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you should be forecasting better too. Maybe you need to be up in the production at the factory. Maybe you're selling out so much that you're just like, oh, I didn't expect this. This beat all the numbers that I forecasted for us. This is good. Sometimes could be a good problem to have, but like Eric mentioned, you need to look inward.
Let's just do that. It's a good problem to have once. Yeah. You're like, holy smokes, we're cooking now, right? That one time, that's it. You get a free pass. If you continuously do that,
one mulligan.
Yeah, exactly. If you keep doing that, something's wrong, and you're gonna feel it. It's going to impact your account. It's going to impact just your overall sales, your brand recognition. Just, you know, if you're constantly out, your customer is going to be like, you know, they'll keep checking back. Maybe most of the Amazon shoppers are going to go one and done. Like if it's, you know, like if you're out of stock, they're going to the next person because everybody wants everything right now, myself included. So like they're just going to go to somebody else. And if it's a first time buyer, you potentially could lose that customer forever because your competitor has that product available. Now they're trying their product. Now they like that product. Now they're going to be brand loyalists to that product. You know, suddenly they're subbing and saving on your competitor when they could have been subbing and saving on your product, but yeah, you messed up and you don't have inventory. So be better.
Do better is a great. Let's put that on a pillow. And send it out to we can sell it on Amazon and not have to worry about these low inventory fees because we have Eric and Brian to handle it.
Well, we could do, because like the Informed Consumer Act has addresses to businesses, so we could just go through and find all the listings that don't have inventory, and then we could just send the pillow do better, and they'll just this anonymous do better pillow with no like return address. Like, what is
no
this?
return address?
Just like they just have to rethink their whole life. Where did this come from? I actually
do better on what? It's so vague.
I absolutely love this plan. We should do it. I love it.
We can sign it from the Three Musketeers, and unless they watch the podcast, they won't know. They won't know, which is good. Most likely they might, because we're super famous and awesome.
Yeah. Good SEO.
But maybe.
Right?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, good marketing there. Brian, you said something that caught my attention that I've been talking about a little bit, and that's related to AWD and AGL. And I know we're talking about new inventory fees, but I want to do a little bit on that because I think this is super interesting. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you use AWD and AGL, you get some sort of discount on the fees for both of them.
Yeah, well, you're exempt from the fees if you're using them because AWD will manage your replenishments and things like that, and kind of the same with AGL. It just depends, because that's of course global logistics looking at it. But yes, those are options for you to avoid the fees. But I mean, you're paying regardless, by using their service too. But at least you don't have to worry about these fees. That's true.
Yeah. And I hear a lot of pushback from there that say just that. They're saying, well, why would I pay Amazon when I'm already paying my current 3PL for this? And I say, well, no offense to your current 3PL, but they're not Amazon. Everything is streamlined when you use AWD and AGL. I know if I was a big time seller, I would definitely be wanting to streamline everything. I think because I think if I do a cost analysis and I look at it, and I know Brian, we've got plenty of people using AGL. Are they saving money as compared to what they were doing before they started using that? Like, is it a drastic difference, or is it just something still you're saving money? Like, what's the deal there?
And we don't have a lot of our particular clients that are using it. I think they're kind of, if they are, they're using it to land it at a 3PL and Amazon fulfillment centers, so they're kind of doing somewhat of a hybrid. They're not fully all in with using AWD too. And so, and the idea is that if you don't have a good logistics background as far as getting inventory from China to the US, then it's advantageous to use AGL because it kind of handles that. It's kind of a turnkey type of setup, and just as easily as you could use the Seller Central workflow to do a replenishment, you can do that for an overseas shipment and get it to the fulfillment centers and have, Amazon's team to handle customs and logistics, and then looking at containers and things like that and coordinating that on your behalf, which is always nice. But it's kind of it's a big ship too. You can't get quick reactions if you're wanting quick reactions to get inventory too. That's why we had some clients who were trying to get things in before Chinese New Year, and they tried to use AGL and it just didn't happen because, of course, they're the ones who not procrastinate, but carry things to the end, and then they're not able to use and leverage AGL. They kind of figure out their own means to get it to the States and plan from there.
That's a much nicer way to put procrastinated, as they carried things to the end. I wish my teachers in high school would have said that to me instead of saying, Sims, why are you procrastinating this? Get it done. And then I still graduated with like a 3.9, so I don't know what they were talking about. But
could have been better.
In any case, not to humble brag, my high school GPA, I did pretty good.
You needed that Be Better pillow. Could have been a 4. Could have been a 4.
Could have been a 4. I'm okay with it. I was okay with it the moment that when I was applying to colleges, not a single one of them asked me for my high school GPA.
But you gave it to them anyway. You're like, are you sure you don't want this? Here, look at it.
It was on my resume for a while when I was applying for jobs, and not a single job said, what was your college GPA? Nobody cared. But whatever. That's neither here nor there. Study, stay in school, do good, study, learn, build a foundation of knowledge that you need to succeed in whatever field you want to go into. That's really kind of what the school is for. I will say, though, my biggest achievement in all of my schooling career was I had perfect attendance. From first grade, I think it was first grade all the way through the end of high school. Me and my buddy John had it, the only 2 people in our high school to have it, and they gave us a little award. They gave us a shout out and an award at our high school graduation. I was one of those nerds. I never missed school. If I got sick, it was during a holiday break, or I didn't stay home. I was like, I'm going in. I don't care. Sorry, everybody else. You're getting infected with whatever I have.
But you missed out on like Price is Right and all those other shows during the day. Like
Senior Skip Day. Me and John were there. We were at school. A couple of us were there. We were there. The teachers didn't care. They didn't do anything. We didn't do any of that day. All we did was play on our phones or did like very minimal work. So it was still a skip day for us. We just weren't at home. We were just at school, maintaining our status, of perfect attendees. That was mine.
Were you guys both aware of this towards a certain amount of time, and you're like, let's do this. We're doing it. We're going the whole way. And then you have like the flu, and you bring your own bucket from home. They're just like, I gotta get perfect attendance. Like you had to have known.
John, I think I want to say they told us around maybe like the end of junior year, so like a year before graduation. They were like, hey, just to let you know, like you have this possible award. Like you've hit 11 out of 12 years, perfect attendance. And I want to say, I love John. He's one of my best friends. I want to say he was late a few times to senior year, which doesn't count as an absence. But we were all like, oh my God, is John showing up today? Like, is he going to lose his record? Is it just going to be Pete now? So we made a pretty big stink out of him being late every now and then. But other than that, it was a very just, they made an announcement, it was over. But it was important to us. It meant something. It meant something to me. This means something to me. No, but it was a fun time.
I love that. But bringing it back to this though, hard transition like that. It was really smooth. So just I wanted to call this out to make sure. I know Brian was saying, hey, if you use Amazon's warehouse, you get a little bit of a discount. You get some stuff for free. If you are a brand new Amazon account and you are a brand new seller, you just built your account, and it's after March 1st, 2024, you do get some sweet benefits, which is called the seller incentives. If you were on the 2023 side of March 1st, 2023 and on, and I think you might be out of time unless you did it maybe in September or something, there is 2023 incentives. So if you're curious and you're not sure if you had them, type in the little chat bubble, seller incentive 2023. That should bring up the old help page, and it'll kind of show you how to enroll in there and all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. But just going back to, like, if you're a brand new seller, you do get some credits. So what I'm seeing here, just kind of poking through, I think there's a $400 credit that applies to your inbound placements fees. And there's $100 credits in inventory shipping fees, and some other things. So keep that in mind if you are a brand new seller. Again, it's seller incentive program. Just go ahead and type that in the little help box on your homepage on Amazon Seller Central, and you'll be able to kind of see what that looks like, and you should be able to enroll yourself through the.
Very cool. That's definitely going to be nice for a lot of people, I think, to take advantage of that. I didn't even know about that, so I'm definitely going to start pitching that to anybody that I meet with that is not already on Amazon and needs a little account started.
Just so you know, it's like the new accounts, like within a year-ish, depending. And so yeah, so I'll send you the link there.
Send me the link. Shoot me that link over. Yeah, put it in the Three Musket Beards chat, and I'll take a look at it.
Do we ever put the link in the description below? Are we doing that yet? Are we doing that?
We could do that. I'll drop the link to this reading in the description below. Check us out in the comments. Oh, my camera. Check us out. Check out in the comments this link. Click the link below to learn more. No, we haven't gotten that clickbaity yet. Maybe one day. But
don't forget to mash the like button and what do they say?
Smash the like button, turn on notifications, subscribe.
Yeah.
I'm not really a big YouTube kid, so I don't remember all those. I watched like Game Theory was a big one I watched back in the day.
I think they're
other than
done,
that, not really.
They?
I don't remember. I couldn't tell you. I'm only on YouTube to watch our podcast. That's it. That's what only you guys should be on for too.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. No. No, well, I never miss an episode. They're all fantastic.
That's what I like to hear. Liking and sharing and viewing. All right. To land this plane, Brian and Eric, I want to hear your final thoughts just again on these new fees. Again, what people can do to stay afloat. Again, any tips or suggestions on what they can do to kind of combat these?
I think awareness is the first step, and that you got to understand, hey, what is this costing me per unit? And I think sometimes people just want to look at, well, what's overall cost? And, it's $100, and, man, that's going to sink me. And instead it's understanding, you're always chasing profitability. That's what we all want to do. And as far as a company being successful, that's what you're chasing. We as, a team want to help you in that. And it's about understanding per SKU where it's at. And, it's going to take some time for us to gather this data to understand the placement fees and the low stock fees and things like that to be able to, truly understand the impact. But as far as placement fees, it's looking at it per unit. Is that, hey, we've done some shipment now for a month. What does it look like? And even before they were doing the placement fees, they would offer these credits. It's, hey, if you send it to multiple fulfillment centers, you get this credit. Like it's been going for a while, so I think there's some data behind it that can be pulled and understood, and making sure that you're understanding that. And it's, to me, it's a strategy too of what makes sense to be FBA, what makes sense to be FBM, and just understanding what's your strategy and what's going to help you as a company to succeed, that knowing these types of fees are coming. Because I think with that strategy is going to affect both of these, because if you're doing shipments that are smaller SKUs and things like that, then you're not going to be sending as much as in. So instead of your focus is on your big sellers and doing those replenishments as needed, and the same with the low stock fees. If it's a low selling SKU, then that's where you have big swings. You sell 1 or 2 units in a week, and all of a sudden you're dropped your days of inventory from 60 to 15 or 20 or something extreme, because of how it's going to read that metric. And it's also looking at long term, but now you're, as a supply chain, needing to make sure that you're meeting that requirement to get those shipments in and all of that, and just making sure you're clear on what your strategy is or what needs to be FBA, because not everything needs to be, especially if it's apparel or items that are very seasonal. You don't always have to have those FBA all year round, but be aware of what these fees are and your impact. And even with the low stock, it's a sliding scale. If it's 2 weeks, below 2 weeks, it's a larger fee, but between 2 and 3 weeks it's less, and then above that it's less. So it's understanding those two. And then if you have large items, the more weight, it's always going to be the more cost. So even more so on those, you have to understand what is your strategy and what makes sense, and not just kind of seeing it as an ambiguous fee, but getting educated and asking questions and seeking help. And do like Eric says, type the little search menu and see the fee breakdown yourself, and make sure you know your product and what's going to be best for you and your company.
Amen.
Yeah. And Brian put that really well. So most of anything that I would say would be redundant. But it's still one of those things where just trial and error, just be aware, like Brian said, just look into things, check some stuff, and then try stuff. Keep records of things. Be like, hey, check your sales, make spreadsheets. Just make sure that you're trying things, see where you're most cost effective, where your margin is greatest. And like you said, pick and choose FBM, FBA. It's just going to take a little bit of time. You're not going to be like, if you're running into some of these issues, all jokes aside from before about being better and stuff, there's probably something that just needs to be addressed, whether it's, getting ahead of your projections, getting your shipments from your factories. There's going to be learnings the whole time to try to balance this out. Be kind to yourself, be patient, just kind of go through the process. And also, like always, there's going to be hundreds of you, dozens, thousands, whatever, having the similar issues. You can reach out to us. You can reach out to the Amazon forums. Those are great. There's Reddit. Reddit has a good, channel. What is the one that the kids are using? Discord. I think there's a Discord Amazon channel. I think I was in that for a little bit.
Oh gosh.
So like get out there, mix in a little bit. There's a lot of other sellers doing the same thing, but again, it's just going to take a little bit of time to get used to these new changes. But I just stay positive, and you'll be fine. It'll be great.
Amen. Could not have said it better myself. Literally. That was well said, both of you. Thank you. And I think that's a wrap for this episode. Everybody, thanks for watching. I'm Velocity Pete, and we'll see you next week.